You are never alone. You are never alone. Just reach into your heart and Allah is always there. You are never alone. You are never alone. Through sorrow and through grief, through happiness and peace, you are never alone.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to a new episode of Family Issues. In this episode, we'll be talking about how family as a foundation helps self-discovery and personal reform through observing oneself and trying to improve yourself. What are the ways to rediscover yourself after marriage? Can you change the other party, your spouse? We'll also be talking about such important characters in self-discovery as the competitive person, bountiful, and the perfectionist, the never have enough, and how to change that and to get rid of that and to avoid this being entrenched in your kids. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ونفس وما سواها فألهمها فجورها وتقواها قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها. By nafs, Adam, or a person or a soul, and him who perfected him in proportion, then he showed him what is wrong for him and what is right for him. Indeed, he succeeds who purifies his oneself, i.e. obeys and performs all that Allah ordered by following the true faith of Islamic monotheism and by doing righteous good deeds. And indeed, he fails who corrupts his own self. And عن أم المؤمنين عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها قالت قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم خيركم لأهله وأنا خيركم لأهلي. On the authority of Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, who said, the messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, the best amongst you is he who is the most kind to his family, and I'm the kindest amongst you to my family. Sadaqa Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Dear brothers and sisters, don't forget to join us live in our program via your phone calls. The phone numbers appearing on the screen now, 002 023 855 248 or 249. We will be glad to receive your phone calls if you have any question or any comments to our expert guests, whom we'll be introducing you to after we take a short break. Also, don't forget to email us at familyissues@huda.tv. Your comments and suggestions are always useful to us. Time now for a short break, and when we come back, we will start right away with how family as a foundation helps for self-discovery and personal reform. Do stay with us. Assalamu alaikum.
Never alone. You are never alone.
Europe's forgotten heritage.
This is a sad reminder of the past history of the Muslims in the city. Nowadays, there are no Muslims anymore. These are the mosques that have remained. And it is really sad. Wait a second, this is Morocco. No, this is Tunisia, Algeria, North Africa, Egypt. No, this is all Europe, and this is all part of Spain. Islam spread first in Africa, and then from Africa, it came over to Europe, and then it did developing work in Europe. Now, we look the other way around nowadays. The compass was invented by the Muslims. Many important inventions came from the time of the Muslims on the Iberian Peninsula. Instead of people becoming less in battles, as we normally know, as we know in battles obviously people die, but no, what was happening? The Spaniards recognized and realized the superiority of the Muslims and the treatment that the Muslims gave to the Christians and the Jews in Spain at that time, that they happily accepted Islam, many of them. And not over the fountain, as we've seen it before in other places in Greece. Now, it has some Arabic on top, as well as it had some Arabic down where the tap used to be, or where the water was coming out.
Pack your bags, grab your passports, and join Dr. Steph Keris as he takes us through Europe and rediscovers Europe's forgotten heritage, only on Hoda TV. Tech Talk.
We're going to look how to create a website and which Islamic websites to actually visit. What inspired you to create your own website?
One of the challenges that we face every day, the site or the application should be accessible worldwide. I remember when I was younger, one of my friends asked me to convince his father to get him a desktop, even the laptop. If you compared both of them in terms of cost, laptop roughly cost twice the money if you compared it with the desktop.
Hackers, the word hackers, most of the youth people are very interesting about that word. They say, hey, I'd like to be a hacker, because there is a type of hacker doing great job. We call them white hat hacker.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. We are very glad to have with us here Engineer Muhammad Sharaf, personal and family coach and trainer. Thank you as always, Mr. Sharaf, for being with us, and Jazakumullahu khairan. Introduce us please to the concept of a family as a foundation helping for self-discovery and personal reform.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. First of all, I want to thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for hosting me the time. And actually for this, I know that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said at one of his hadith that you mentioned earlier, that خيركم خيركم لأهله, or the best man of you is the one who is best to his family.
Right.
And this translates to two facts. This saying that comes out of a holy
إن هو إلا وحي يوحى.
Exactly.
The Prophet will only sallallahu alayhi wa sallam say something that has been revealed to him by Allah.
Exactly. So that means that whoever is best in treating his family, he is best in manners with everybody else. So that means that the family is an institution of reform in itself. You can reform always yourself through marriage and through the relationship. And this comes out from the fact that inside marriage itself and inside this institution that is having a pair of a man and a woman, and then will have more children afterwards, and will outgrow with more children and grandchildren afterwards, is a way for the man or the woman to really understand the different roles and really experience different roles in life. Being an individual or a person who is not married will never have the chance to express being a spouse or a husband or wife, being a parent or a grandparent. And in practice, lots of deficiencies in the person himself or herself will appear. And to say the truth, it's not the other party who is always wrong and who is always needs to be reformed. You only can control reforming yourself. And this is your opportunity, really, inside the institution of marriage and inside this family, to really outgrow your personal potential and unleash really the very best of yourself, and really reform the worst of yourself.
You're saying you only should be doing this, or that's the only thing you can do? I mean, are you telling us that don't try to change your partner, don't try to...
Yes, exactly. You only own yourself. And you, inside this institution, you're having a role, a new role that needs experience and needs self-learning and real self-actualization and really to put in your dimes in it. And for your own benefit, you have to really focus on unleashing yourself and your potential and reforming yourself. Don't look at the other party and how he or she behaves, because actually this is out of your control. What is in your control is yourself.
Right. So this is important advice here, because it could be very frustrating for either of the partners if he or she is trying to change the other into what he or she believes is for the best, and that doesn't happen. It becomes very frustrating.
Yes, exactly, because actually some of the marriages really start by putting an expectation that the other party will reform and so and so and so. And actually, even without commitment, it is putting the other party, who is a person, who is an individual, who is a human,
as if it is for granted,
as if he is a project, your personal project to reform. Actually, what you see is what you will get. Okay, and this is the main thing that in each marriage we have to really know that whoever we select, as we selected, is the person that we will deal with in our future life. And ourselves is the only thing that is in our control. So we must actually take the opportunity and pull this opportunity to really try to reform ourselves and really understand the best in ourselves and really unleash our potentials and really take out the bad from ourselves.
Because it's obviously also very frustrating for the other party that's listening all the times to directives or to wishes of a change or of reform. We'd have to assume that that party would be annoyed. I mean, exactly. Enough is enough. Don't try to change me. This is me.
You took somebody who's maybe something like 20 years being reformed and being appraised and being in an environment, and he will not change in 1 year or two or even 40 years later. They tell that the learning in when the kid is small is like putting some crafts in the stone. Is like so actually after the age of 14 years old, actually you can hardly change something in anyone. It's only the first 14 years that you can really build a character in someone and really form the character of someone. Afterwards, he is the only one or she is the only one who can do something for himself. Or it's never by external force unless he is a slave or she is a slave. And you would not like to marry a slave. Actually, you would like to be, you're marrying as a free person, so you need a free person to marry and get and give birth to free individuals. So this freedom is a freedom of choice also, to choose that this institution of marriage is an institution of reform and institution of your personal unleashing and your personal outgrowing, or having this marriage as something that causes to you all the bad and negative emotions, like depression, like being frustrated, like being and actually like being enslaved, or like being or losing your free will and free choice and the freedom of choice. And these negative labels some people put it on marriage itself and really put the walls of the family as borders to their to unleashing their potentials and really being the good selves they want to be.
A very important introduction there. So you're saying the first thing is just look at yourself and try to reform yourself, not your spouse.
Exactly.
That's the first point. Now, obviously, if you're going to reform yourself, this is going to be by observing yourself and seeing where things go wrong. Yeah. But at the same time, you'd have to be open to advices or comments from your partner. So because you might have some deficiencies that you're not aware of.
Yes, exactly. That's والمؤمنون والمؤمنات بعضهم أولياء بعض. The believers and females and males and females are always supporting each other. So yes, one of the things that you have to really put on yourself as a burden is really to listen to good advices from the other partner, because he is a mirror to yourself. But it is not that because he is directing you because he's really trying to unleash the best of himself to you and trying to really reform the worst out of himself and really
for the interest of the entire family.
Exactly, and he's just giving you feedback for the good of yourself. And يعني actually when you both care of يعني the going to paradise together, inshallah, Jannah together, then you both will care for each other, to support each other on values. You know, you will measure each other on values. You really support each other as honest mirrors to each other, not just for the personal gain of being a winner or being somebody who's superior to the other or being competitive to the other. And this may be...
But some people, of course, are very sensitive to critique, to comments, to observations. So what's what to do there?
It is the way to deliver. That is something that we can really go back to the personality types and how to really communicate the best. And this is part of your personal reform of how to deliver the message to the other. Maybe in some cases you misdeliver the message, you deliver it the wrong way, you really say it in a bad way that hurts the other. But through learning and experiencing and really putting the effort on really and focusing on yourself. And when the other party sees that you are a role model to what you are saying and trying to express yourself in a way that you are not just giving advice and really orders and you're not abiding to them, then yani, the other party will really try to also give the best of himself or herself.
Right.
Yani, try to invest and give and give and give, and not just to push it harder for the other party, but to keep yourself up and really
as a role model. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us this advice in the Holy Quran, and it's very clear that he says to those to the believers that don't say what you're not doing, and that this is something that God really despises. If you say or give advices about things that you yourself not doing. Now, obviously, we all change after marriage, males and females.
Yes.
What are usually the characteristics that that have a big diversion or a 180-degree shift after marriage, and what remains, and what are the characteristics that that cannot change?
What you choose to change is what will change. What is forced on you will not change. Okay, so it's actually
simple
what
enough.
Yeah, it's what you would like for yourself to be. Is actually what will really happen, inshallah, by the support of Allah and the will of Allah. Because actually, if you try to do it for the sake of Allah, Allah will support you. إذا تقرب إلي عبدي بشبر تقربت إليه بباع. Actually, if ذراع, if you just take the measure of one what they call it, شبر is.
I'm not sure, but it's obvious. Yeah. It's obvious that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that if one of his slaves gets closer to him, he in turn will get even closer.
Exactly.
And if if we the slaves of Allah advance, just a very small distance, Allah will get closer to us, a bigger distance than the one we perform.
Exactly. So that actually what makes you have to believe that when you take any step to reform yourself for the sake of Allah from the institution of marriage and to be better to your spouse, to be better for the other, for the community after, actually it will reflect that God will help you and will give you the support on this track. So whatever you would like to change, just start doing it when you find that it is for the best for you and the community around you. And actually, to tell the truth, this is something that we have to really mention, that the man who is best for his wife, who is really inside his home a role model, will be somebody of character in the community, because he will not change this this edge in the community. What is it is really easier in the community to give a good face and really try to fake a character, but it is very hard to fake a character inside your home. And this is something that we really as Muslims try to achieve, that we are dealing with Allah, and Allah is with us in our loneliness, in and with us and within the family is with us within the community. So we have to have the same
to
be of character consistent.
Yes.
In our individual case with our family and with our with the community, and actually what happens is that يعني really the very worst of a character comes out when he has يعني some inferiors after him, يعني when he is superior to others. So if you want to really measure a real character, see how he deals with his inferiors. And in most of the families that we know and most of the communities that we know, a man in his house is the superior. And he's always dealing with the inferiors that he sees. He looks like as inferiors, like the wife and the kids. And if he is not good to them, then he absolutely is not of integrity in the community, and he's not, and his personal congruence is actually not achieved. Because
right. Self-discovery. What are the main characteristics that we should look after when we try to discover ourselves, to know ourselves, to understand ourselves?
Well, actually, يعني let's see when somebody is alone and he's a single person, he's not married. He would never know things. He would never touch some human communications. Being a single person and not having responsibility on others, the maximum he could have is care to his parents and maybe some good treatment to his siblings. But he would never experience taking care of somebody else, a human being like a wife or something, and he will not take. He will not be experienced in sharing actually, and this the
responsibility
being
factor,
responsibility. Yes, taking the responsibility further of being generous, being courageous, defending his property, being of persistence to achieve targets, being of faith to Allah, and things that really the real faith in its exercise itself for singles is totally different than for a married person. If you are a single person and you would sacrifice a job for your religion and for values that you have, it is easy to do it. Very easy because you don't have responsibilities after you. But when you are of responsibility and you are in a job that and something of that contradicts your values, experience, you will think 10 times before taking a step backwards or maybe changing your tracks. For instance, if you are having something like you're getting 10 dimes for your from your job and your house demands 40, and you have the opportunity to take something like a bribe or something, it's really as a single person you will not even think of it, but as a married person you will have something like a force driving you to
not to think of it, but as a person with responsibilities towards children mainly and a wife and so on, you're saying that you're more likely to think the Satan will do some work on this. If you are maybe your boss is asking you something that contradicts totally your something haram, you will not as a married person and of responsibility, you'll not just give your resignation and pull off yourself. You will think 10 times before losing the job that supports your family. So it's
that
very difficult position to be in, but obviously the correct position would be to quit if
there's faith,
if you're asked to do something haram. Obviously.
That's if you have real faith in Allah, and even Qiyam al-Layl or
it's very difficult.
Night prayers is actually, it's very easy when you're single because you don't have but when you're married and you have responsibilities, and to stand up for night prayers is really harder. Fasting for singles is something like it can be a daily routine, but for a married person, fasting is something, and we all know how it is hard. So actually, when we're talking about really self-discovery through marriage, yes, marriage is the real opportunity to practice self-discovery, because here you will know the real self of you. Are you courageous? Are you really generous? Are you really sharing and caring? Are you really having faith in Allah and really practicing with sincerity? Are you even giving out for the poor? When you're single, it's very easy to cut off 50% of your salary and give it out for charity. But it is not the case when you're married and have responsibilities for kids, and to cut even 5% or 10%, that is something that is really big for and really heavy on some people. So the real practice for your good self is really through the institution of marriage, and being a parent after being a husband, then a parent, and how you will take care of the children, and understanding the continuity of generations, and understanding the chain of life, understanding how to deal with the upper generations, and how to really give them good care, represented in your older siblings, your parents, your uncles and aunts, and really caring for your kids and your nieces and nephews. And this is the younger generations.
All what you're saying now, Mr. Muhammad, reminded me of a hadith that talks about the fact that that marriage in itself constitutes like half of your duties in religion.
Yes, exactly. That's it's marriage is half. It complements half of the religion, because it's actually there are lots of ibadat and lots of faith doing and practicing that is not unleashed to the single persons, and that is why for
a lot of tests as well.
Yes,
and some. Men and some women would tell you that just being patient on their partner is a test in itself.
Exactly, that is very true, very true.
And with the kids, of course, as well, in raising up the kids. So indeed, one changes.
Yeah. If you look at it from this perspective, that you really, this is your opportunity. Come on, do it. And this is actually, I believe that lots of people don't look at it from this perspective. Hey, I got outgrown already in my parents' house. I'm already a complete person. I don't need to change. So the wife and the kids have to adapt themselves on my bad manners, for instance. If he gets nervous, he should get nervous. If he shouts, it's okay for him to shout. If he just he's not his personal hygiene is not very well, they have to live with it. If he's not so generous and not so really or not so wise in expenditures, then they have to live with it. So lots of things that somebody takes out from his parents' house, he wants it as is in the new house. No, it's your opportunity to be better in your road to Allah. And look at it from this perspective.
Indeed, subhanAllah, jazakumullah khayr. So what characteristics should we mainly look after when we try to reform? Let's talk here about personal reform.
Actually, the personal reform through marriage. I took this this chapter in my book, which is the Sacred Bond. I took this chapter from Dr. Phil McGraw, actually, and actually he has really a good point in his book, How to Pass Family Crisis. He started with the competitive personality. And I would like to also start with it, because actually...
Let's do this, but we will have a break. So before we take the break, which will be in a few seconds now, could you tell us about all the characteristics he chose?
Well, we have about 12 characteristics.
Or a hint of
we
some
have
of them?
about 12 characteristics, and actually we may talk about, there are 10 from the book of Dr. Phil McGraw, and 2 that I added myself in the book of the Sacred Bond on the same way. And actually we will discuss them all one by one, and let's
just give us a few titles.
A few titles. It's actually about being competitive, being a perfectionist, being somebody who's really annoying, somebody who is really a dictator, or somebody who is actually very who is a doggy person. That's somebody who really pushes it to some limits.
Okay.
Being
time has been pushed to the limit now.
There are lots of things.
We'll be taking a break, dear brothers and sisters, and come back and talk about the more of these characteristics in family as a foundation, help for self-discovery and personal reform. Make sure you do stay with us, and also get your phone calls and your emails ready. We'll be waiting for them. Assalamu alaikum.
Never alone, you are never alone.
Ask Hoda.
Dear brothers and sisters, welcome to a new edition of Ask Huda.
I have 2 questions.
Please go ahead. You can read it in Arabic and you can also understand the meaning in your own language. The different tafsir and the interpretation of the meanings of the Quran are available in almost every language that exists on earth by the grace of Allah. The water of Zamzam is for whatever intention you drink it with. Salih from Egypt, his father has the way and he asked about how can he help him. Very good question.
Can we give a zakat to any of the dawah centers?
The ibadah or the act of worship is a part of the unity of worship. It has to be paid to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and in accordance with the guidance of his Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala choose whom He wills subhanahu wa ta'ala for His mercy, for His messengership, for the revelation to be revealed. This is not for the human beings to make that decision. If a person would turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely, truthfully, asking for forgiveness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised to forgive. We have as Muslims a duty, and that is to recite the book of Allah, to ponder over the verses, the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to act according to the Quran. The mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encompasses everything, but who would this mercy will be for? And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent to all mankind. So the ummah or the people of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam are all mankind since the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam till the day of judgment. Why waste our life without getting to know every verse in the Quran, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thanks for staying with us. Mr. Muhammad, you chose to talk about the competitive person as the first characteristic that you believe could be or should be reformed after marriage.
Yeah.
But why? From the first impression, I mean, being a competitive person looks like something good. I mean, it's good to be competitive.
Well, let's look at it from the perspective of being a married person inside the human communication inside the family. Let's see a competitive person, what he or she will expect from the other. And actually, it starts with this competitive personality. Actually, starts from the engagement and from the start of the relationship. Whenever he gives out something, he needs something in return. Yani he's competing always, and seeing what the value of the thing in return is to return back something. And this is not actually the way a family works. The family will never work in a way that's when you give me something of value, I'll give you the same value or better by a little bit because I'm better than you. Look at it from the perspective when the two parents, the father and the mother, are both actually competing in front of their children to win their hearts. Because I am better, I'm a better mother because I'm a better father, not because we are a family, that we need to win the hearts of each other because we are a family. They put actually themselves in continuous competition with their partners, and they put this pressure on their kids to be continuously competitive with everyone else. whatever, actually this competitiveness is about something of value or not of value, but it is always that you need to be a winner and the other a loser. Yani this is the frame of mind of a competitive.
In itself, could we say that in itself is a good characteristic, but you shouldn't all be competing at home, because at home you're one unit. I mean, you're a family. You're called a family.
That is actually the essence of that is the real meaning of being a competitive person in a bad way. That the negative notion of being competitive inside the family. I'm not meaning the competitive in terms of competing, مثلا
in science and knowledge and sports and.
But it's you're not in competition with your partner. You're not in competition with your kids. You're not in competition. You're not trying to prove that you are a winner inside this family. That we are winners together. That we are a winning family together. But it's not, even a winning family is not in comparison to the family of my sister, or the family of my brother, or the family of her, or among the family of my spouse or my wife, that we are the best family among them. It is not like this. You are competitive in terms that you are a good family in terms of competing in the road to Al-Jannah, or the road to paradise. يعني this is the وفي ذلك فليتنافس المتنافسون. It is for Al-Jannah. يعني but it is not to take bounties or take, and that is why I'm noting it as the bountiful also. That you are gaining for bounties in here and this in the here life and in your life you're seeking to get gains for getting the trophy for being the better or the best. Whenever you're giving something to your wife or your kids, you're staying for something in return. Yani if he or she didn't give you in return, you will tell, I gave you, I did it for you, I maybe don't you remember that I gave you something? This is being bountiful and really giving it in a bad way. That you're trying to show off that you did something extra for your spouse or your family, or while it is normal to do it, because actually you're dealing with them in higher meanings than just this giveaway or something.
Absolutely.
So that is the negative notion of being a competitive person or a bountiful person. That you're seeking the gains in the here life and nowadays.
Right. Well, what would the problem be with where your kids being competitive in the sense of wanting to achieve academic excellence? He wants to get higher scores than his brother. She wants to be more of a star in her football team than her sister, and so on. Yeah. What would be wrong with that?
Well, in some cases, it will turn out to give you some envious characters. Yani it will change. Yani the competition between brothers and sisters, in terms of the here life, it will give out from them sometimes some other bad characters, like being envious, like being like not it is not nice to consider your sister or your brother a loser. Come on, what kind of family is what kind of values are promoted in the family? That I'm a winner, my sister or brother is a loser. We need to promote that we are all winners.
I win today, you win tomorrow.
It is about we winning. Actually, the team, us winning. And whoever gets the trophy, it's the trophy for the family. It is not me competing with you, because actually most of the brothers and sisters are not even in the same context as each other. They will not go seek the same trophy as each other. They will always this will be in an age range that is different than the other one. This will be in a grade different than the other one. So how about being all winners, but not on the expense of getting others losers? So, for instance, promoting competition in the family, maybe asking the kid to be always the first in their classes, while if they get the best of the grades, but they just lacked being the first position for maybe half a degree or 1 degree, you blame them that they did not win, because they were losers because somebody got this extra half degree or 1 degree
No,
on a scale
but
of
actually,
300 or 400 degrees, you know.
You could easily be considered as a winner because you were better than 20 or 30 other people as well. So
That is a positive way of promoting competition. That you really won on yourself. You really exceeded the expectations. You really landed off in a good rank or something like this. But it is not to let the others losers. If it is not the first position, then you are not a winner. Then you are a loser. And
that's dangerous.
That's very dangerous. And I saw many families working like this, and it's really harmful because to really change the perception. And this kid who is appraised like this, and he's put in a human relationship and put in the family, and he tries each and every time to prove that he is the best, and that he is better than his spouse, he's better than the mother, he's better than his kids, he's always giving and others are not really appreciating, and this, he will always be not satisfied, and the other will always feel harassed and will always feel that he is under the attack in an unfair competition, because whatever somebody gives in the family, there are total different flavors of giving. Giving inside the family is not of one flavor, and we cannot compete in one thing. Maybe somebody gives some materialistic things, the other gives some meaningful things. Somebody gives care, somebody gives more support, somebody gives a laugh or something. We cannot compete in everything.
Somebody gives time, somebody gives instructions or teaches.
The way to give in a family is totally different from a character to another, and each character will express his or her givings and his or her donations and bounties inside the family in a total different way. So we cannot compete because we're different. In this context, it is so unfair to really tell that I'm a better husband and I'm giving and I'm doing so and so, because you didn't really give a heck about what she is doing to you as a wife. And the same for the wife herself. You're not giving the heck of the value he's giving in home, because he will complete you. He will not actually compete with you in what you're good at. There is no competition. It's actually it is totally unfair inside the family to have a competition, and it is very harmful. Actually to be in continuous competition. Our competition is actually to be the better selves in front of Allah, and this is what we are seeking for the hereafter and not for the here life.
Right.
And this is the positive meaning of being a competitive person, is to compete, maybe in Quran, in prayers, in doing the good deeds, in paying off for the poor and charity, in actually socializing and opening networks with your families, Salat al-Arham, and this is where really you are asked to give more and asked to be competitive, but not competitive in terms of winning and the other members of the family losing. You as a family are winning together.
Right. Jazakallah khair. So how do we get rid of the bountiful characteristic?
First of all, you have to be really thankful to the other party and whatever he or she is contributing at home. And this meaning is of being so thankful to others and be thankful to Allah to whatever is coming will really cut off the internal feeling that he or she is less than you. Really appreciate everything, really thank God for whatever he or she is doing. Try to concentrate on their givings and their share in what they are doing in home, and in a positive term, really not to criticize, but it is to appreciate and understand and really support, unleashing. And actually, this is the first thing. The other thing is be your own self. Just focus on yourself, being your own self, giving the best out of yourself. And this, actually putting the focus on yourself and what you can give is better than really looking at what others are giving in front of you and in return to what you're doing. This is because you are not competing with anyone. You're not in a competition, and you are all in the same boat, and you are working together to have a better life, a better family, and achieve happiness. So just يعني focus on being you yourself, happy of what you're doing, focus on your self-actualization, focus on your contributions, focus on actually unleashing the best of yourself, and this will really cut off any thoughts that you're a winner, because actually every day you will have to improve, because improvement is a totally dynamic process. يعني ونفس وما سواها فألهمها فجورها وتقواها قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها. So it is always a daily routine that you have to really improve yourself. So you will never end by this. So it's if you win يعني in one opportunity or something, you will lose in another if you don't keep focus on always improving yourself and always يعني performing.
And how to avoid, finally, as we close out, how to avoid this while appraising our kids? Avoid, having them to being too competitive or competitive in a dangerous way, as you explained beautifully, that there are good sides to being competitive, but there are also negative ones, and you warned from the negative ones. So how do we avoid this in appraising our kids?
Well, actually, in appraising the kids, I believe that we need to really be from the beginning. We need to be ourselves as role models. We have not to be competitive among ourselves, between myself and my wife. We have to just not to be competitive between each other.
You can easily see partners competing on who will win the argument.
Exactly.
And as simple a matter as this.
Exactly, exactly, and even going to your kid and asking, am I a better dad or she is a better mom? That's a very stupid and very bad question that should never be asked, because actually they will always or do you love me more, or do you love your mom more, or these questions shouldn't be asked at all, because they will promote that you are both in competition in a way or another. He or she will have love to you and love to your wife in total different ways and expressions, and you don't have to ask why or how, because this is how they want to express it. SubhanAllah. Try to put them on their comfort zone. Let them really unleash their best, the way that they feel at ease and comfortable. Sometimes when we put our kids in some education, our educational systems and these days are actually so standard, and they are not really a measure on how skillful the kid is, because they're actually not always touching the best of their potentials, but they're so standard, and they're actually their gains of the industrial era, that they're packaging people in terms of being in certain jobs or certain characters or certain education zone to really package the information or a way or another. So it is not the real measurement of how skillful our kids are. And we can know that how Bill Gates, for instance, was not that successful at school, but he became the owner of Microsoft, and the first in engineering school. His class is one of his employees, and the same for Steve Jobs. Was not a university student, and a college student, for instance, at all. He is the Apple giant, and he instituted Pixar, while he didn't even have. And our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was ummi, was illiterate.
That's because it's Allah
that educated
that
him. So it is not a measure. That don't measure your kids on the benchmarks of the community. Let them unleash the best of themselves and appreciate what they are giving.
On this beautiful note, Mr. Muhammad, allow me to end here. Jazakumullahu khairan. We've enjoyed it. I personally have enjoyed it. We hope, dear brothers and sisters, you have also enjoyed this episode. Thank you very much, Engineer Muhammad Sharaf family and personal coach and trainer. See you soon, inshallah. Dear brothers and sisters, don't forget to join us again next week, same time, and don't forget to keep your emails, to keep sending your emails at family issues at huda.tv. That's all for now. Until we meet again, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Never alone. You are never alone. through sorrow and through grief, through happiness and peace. You are never alone. So now, as you long for your past, prepare for your future, but knowing nothing's gonna last. You see, this life is but a road, a straight and narrow path to our final abode. So travel well, O Muslim, and paradise will be your home. And always remember